In this section, you will learn the basic techniques and procedures which are common to all RT communications. Since RT is the means by which aircrews and ground personnel communicate, it's vital for safety reasons that all information and instructions are transmitted correctly. Standard phraseology and procedures are used worldwide to reduce the possibility of misunderstanding. It's therefore vitally important that you learn and understand these techniques and procedures, and that you get into the habit of using them in the air. Always remember that many incidents and accidents have occurred because of the misunderstanding caused by the use of non-standard procedures or phraseology. The correct transmitting technique begins with having your microphone correctly positioned. If you have it too far away from your mouth, the volume of your speech will be reduced, and the microphone will pick up extraneous noise from the cockpit, thus making your voice even more difficult to hear. Golf Foxtrot Hotel Juliet Mike, request radio check, frequency 120 decimal tree. Golf Foxtrot Hotel Juliet Mike, request radio check, frequency 120 decimal tree. If you have the mic too close to your mouth, it will feel uncomfortable, and there is a danger that your speech may be distorted. Golf Foxtrot Hotel Juliet Mike, request a radio check, frequency 120 decimal tree. Golf Foxtrot Hotel Juliet Mike, request a radio check, frequency 120 decimal tree. The correct position is shown here, when you can just touch the mic by pursing your lips. The mic should be positioned in the center of your mouth, and the mic boom should be secure so that it will not move if you move your head suddenly or if you run into any turbulence. Golf Foxtrot Hotel Juliet Mike, request radio check, frequency 120 decimal tree. Golf Foxtrot Hotel Juliet Mike, request radio check, frequency 120 decimal tree. Having made sure your mic is correctly positioned, there are several rules that you need to follow whenever you're transmitting. Whenever you change frequency, it's vital that you listen out for at least 5 seconds before you transmit. It is very easy to transmit over someone else, particularly in a busy air traffic environment. In such an environment, it is even more important that your transmission is heard, so you must make sure nobody else is in the middle of a transmission before you press the transmit button. If you always adhere to the rules, you're less likely to forget them when you are under pressure. By using your normal voice, you are more likely to be understood. Maintain an even rate of speech when transmitting. If you know that the recipient of your message is having to write down what you say, speak at a slightly slower rate. Do not raise your voice, even if you're putting out an emergency message. By speaking too loudly, you are more likely to distort your words. Many RT transmissions contain lots of numbers, and it's vital that the recipient hears the numbers clearly. You must therefore pronounce the numbers correctly. Try to avoid ums and ahs. The easiest way of avoiding these irritating noises is to make sure you know what you're going to say before you press the transmit button. A few seconds thought before you speak is more likely to result in a clear and concise message. An irritating and potentially dangerous situation in radio telephony is a stuck microphone button. Always make sure that you release the button fully after transmission. If you're using a handheld microphone, make sure it is stored in a position where it cannot be switched on inadvertently. In radio communication, the most important consideration is that messages should be transmitted and received clearly, efficiently, and unambiguously. This is the reason why standard phraseology is used wherever possible. When transmitting individual letters, The phonetic alphabet that you see on screen here is used. The phonetic alphabet consists of words which, by international agreement, are used in order to identify the initial letter of each word. Click on a word to hear how it should sound. The pronunciation will then be shown in the window on the right, with the syllables to be emphasized in red. The reason for emphasizing certain syllables is to make the sound of the word clearer over the RT. It is not necessarily the way you would say the word in normal speech. If you have a microphone, you can use the record playback facility to make a recording of each letter and then replay it to see if it sounds like the original. Alpha, Bravo, Charlie, Delta, Echo, Foxtrot, Golf, Hotel, India, Juliet, Kilo, Lima, Mike, November, Oscar, Papa, Quebec, Romeo, Sierra, Tango, Uniform, Victor, Whiskey, X-ray, Yankee, Zulu. The words in the table should be used when individual numbers have to be transmitted. Click on a number to hear how it should sound. The pronunciation will then be shown in the window on the right, with the syllables to be emphasized in red. If you have a microphone, you can use the record playback facility to make a recording of each number and then replay it to see if it sounds like the original. Remember, the reason for emphasizing certain syllables is to make the sound of the number clearer over the RT. It's not necessarily the way you would say the number in normal speech. Zero, zero, one, one, two, two, tree, tree, boa, boa, fife, fife, six, six, seven, seven, eight, eight, nine, nine, decimal, decimal, hundred, hundred, thousand, thousand. With certain exceptions, numbers should be transmitted by pronouncing each digit separately. On screen now, you see examples of the transmission of numbers for which this rule holds good. Numbers are transmitted separately then for aircraft call signs, flight levels, headings, wind direction and speed, transponder codes, runway designations, altimeter subscale settings, frequencies. Click on a number in the list to hear how it's pronounced. You may use the record playback facility if you wish to listen to your own attempts at pronouncing the numbers. Air China 237, Air China 237, Olympic 342, Olympic 342, flight level 150, flight level 150, flight level 200, flight level 200, heading 100, heading 346, heading 045, wind 230 degrees 20 knots, wind 080 degrees 12 knots gusting 25, wind 080 degrees 12 knots gusting 25, squawk 2400, squawk 4215, runway 27, runway 14, QNH 998, QNH 1000, QNH 1000. Numbers containing a decimal point shall be transmitted with the decimal point in the appropriate sequence, being indicated by the word decimal, pronounced decimal. A small selection of numbers, all radio frequencies, is shown in the table. Click on a frequency to hear how it's pronounced. The frequencies are pronounced using both types of procedure taught in the lesson on the transmission of frequencies. If you wish, use the record playback facility to listen to your own attempts at pronouncing the numbers. 118.1, 120.37, or 129.05, or 129.050, 120.37, or 120.375, 133.0, 133.0. The exceptions to the rules given in the previous section are numbers used in the transmission of altitude, cloud height, visibility, and runway visual range information, which contain whole hundreds and whole thousands. These numbers should be transmitted by pronouncing each digit in the number of hundreds or thousands, followed by the word hundred or thousand as appropriate. Unless whole thousands or whole hundreds are being used, all numbers are to be pronounced separately. Click on a number in the list to hear how it's pronounced. You may use the record playback facility if you wish to listen to your own attempts at pronouncing the numbers. 700, 700, 4,500, 4,500, 1,450, 1,450, 2,200, 3,600. Visibility 1,000 meters. Visibility 600 meters. RVR 700. RVR 1,500. When transmitting time, only the minutes of the hour are normally required. However, the hour should be included if there is any possibility of confusion. Pilots may also check the time with the appropriate air traffic unit. Note that time checks should be given to the nearest half-minute. A selection of times is shown in the table. Click on a time to hear how it's pronounced, and, if you wish, use the recording and playback facility to record your own selection of times. 03 or 0803, 03 or 0803, 1300, 1300, 57 or 2057, 57 or 2057. Aeronautical stations are identified by the name of the station followed by a suffix that indicates the type of service being provided. In most cases, the service being provided is obvious from the suffix, but this is not always the case. You should therefore be familiar with all the suffixes and their meanings. The suffixes given in this lesson are from the ICAO Manual of Radiotelephony, Doc 9432. However, there may be some minor differences among JAA nations. Students are therefore advised to consult their national RT manuals to ensure they are aware of any differences. The screen shows the complete list of suffixes. The initial call to a station should include the name. For example, if you wish to contact Aerodrome Control at Stansted Airport, you would call Stansted Tower. However, once you've established satisfactory two-way communications with Stansted Tower, and you're satisfied that it will not be confusing, you may omit either the station name or the suffix in subsequent calls. Click on a suffix to hear an example. Paris Control. Paris Control. Hamburg Radar. Hamburg Radar. Birmingham Approach. Birmingham Approach. Frankfurt Arrival. Frankfurt Arrival. Brussels Departure. Brussels Departure. Zurich Tower. Zurich Tower. Hanover Ground. Hanover Ground. Istanbul Delivery. Istanbul Delivery. Bucharest Precision. Bucharest Precision. Swansea Homer. Swansea Homer. Sonderstrom Information. Sonderstrom Information. Rostov Apron. Rostov Apron. Oxbow Dispatch. Oxbow Dispatch. Sligo Radio. Sligo Radio. There are three types of aircraft call sign. In the first type, the call sign is the registration marking of the aircraft. The name of the aircraft type or model may sometimes be used as a prefix. In the second, the call sign is made up from the telephony designator of the aircraft operating company, followed by the last four characters of the registration marking of the aircraft. The third type consists of the telephony designator of the aircraft operating company, followed by the flight identification. Click on a call sign to hear how it sounds. Golf Alpha Bravo Charlie Delta, or Golf Alpha Bravo Charlie Delta, or Cessna Golf Alpha Bravo Charlie Delta. Oxbow Delta Charlie Bravo Alpha. Oxbow Delta Charlie Bravo Alpha. Oxbow 246. Oxbow 246. When establishing communication with an air traffic service unit, a pilot must use the full call sign of both stations. After satisfactory communication has been established, and provided no confusion is likely to occur, call signs are often abbreviated. You should note, however, that a pilot must never abbreviate a call sign on his own initiative. He may use the abbreviated form of the call sign only after the air traffic service unit has used the abbreviation first. Click on the call signs on screen to hear the abbreviation. Then click on the Continue button to hear examples of exchanges between pilot and controller. Golf Charlie Delta or Cessna Charlie Delta. Golf Charlie Delta or Cessna Charlie Delta. Oxbow Bravo Alpha. Oxbow Bravo Alpha. There is no abbreviated form of this type of call sign.
Walden Tower, Golf Alpha Bravo Charlie Delta. Golf Alpha Bravo Charlie Delta, Walden Tower. Golf Alpha Bravo Charlie Delta, request joining instructions. Golf Charlie Delta, join runway 20 left hand. QNH 1003. Call when downwind. Runway 20, QNH 1003, Wilco, Golf Charlie Delta.
An aircraft must not change its call sign type during a flight. However, where there is a likelihood that confusion may occur because of similar call signs, an aircraft may be instructed by air traffic control to change the type of its call sign temporarily.
Golf Charlie Delta, Walden Tower.
Walden Tower, Golf Charlie Delta, go ahead.
Golf Charlie Delta. Use full call sign. Golf Alpha Bravo Charlie Delta. Aircraft with similar call sign and frequency.
Wilco, Golf Alpha Bravo Charlie Delta.
Aircraft in the heavy wake turbulence category shall include the word heavy immediately after the aircraft call sign in the initial call to an air traffic control unit. This acts as a warning to other aircraft to maintain a safe distance from the heavy aircraft. When a ground station wishes to broadcast information, the message should be prefaced by the call, "All stations."
All stations. Georgetown Control. Gateway VOR on test.
Also, when an aircraft wishes to broadcast information to aircraft in the vicinity, the message should be prefaced by the call, "All stations."
All stations, Golf Charlie Delta Alpha Bravo, westbound, Marlow VOR to Stephenville, leaving flight level 260 now, descending to flight level 150.
No reply is expected to such general calls unless individual stations are subsequently called upon to acknowledge receipt. If there is doubt that a message has been correctly received, a repetition of the message shall be requested, either in full or in part. Click on each phrase to hear an example transmission.
Fast Air 345, Gateway 25, flight level 170, North Cross 29er.
Fast Air 345. Georgetown Control. Say again.
Gateway 25, flight level 170, North Cross 29er. Fast Air 345. Fast Air 345, Gateway 25, flight level 170, North Cross 29er.
Fast Air 345. Georgetown Control. Say again, time at North Cross.
North Cross 29er. Fast Air 345. Fast Air 345, Gateway 25, flight level 170, North Cross 29er.
Fast Air 345. Georgetown Control. Say again, all before North Cross.
Gateway 25, flight level 170, Fast Air 345. Fast Air 345, Gateway 25, flight level 170, North Cross 29er.
Fast Air 345. Georgetown Control. Say again, all after 25.
Flight level 170, North Cross 29er. Fast Air 345. Fast Air 345, Gateway 25, flight level 170, North Cross 29er.
Fast Air 345. Georgetown Control. Say again, all between Gateway and 29er.
25, flight level 170, North Cross, Fast Air 345.
When a station is called but is uncertain of the identification of the calling station, the calling station should be requested to repeat its call sign until identification is established.
Georgetown Ground, Fast Air 345.
Station calling Georgetown Ground. Say again your call sign.
Georgetown Ground, Fast Air 345.
When an error is made in a transmission, the word correction shall be spoken, the last correct group or phrase repeated, and then the correct version transmitted.
Fast Air 345, Wicken 47, flight level 150, Marlow 07, correction, Marlow 57.
Fast Air 345, Roger.
If a correction can best be made by repeating the entire message, the operator shall use the phrase, "Correction, I say again," before transmitting the message a second time. When it's considered that reception may be difficult, important elements of the message should be spoken twice. An aircraft will normally be advised by the appropriate air traffic unit to change from one radio frequency to another in accordance with agreed procedures.
Golf India Kilo. Contact Walden Control 129.1.
Walden Control 129.1, Golf India Kilo.
In the absence of such advice, an aircraft flying outside controlled airspace shall notify the air traffic control unit before changing frequency.
Georgetown approach, Oxbow Tree 45, changing to Walden Control 129.1.
Oxbow 345, Roger, 129.1.
Aircraft flying within controlled airspace must obtain permission from the controlling air traffic control unit before changing frequency.
Georgetown approach, Oxbow Tree 405, request frequency change to Walden Control 129.1.
Oxbow 345, frequency change to 129.1 approved.
Roger, Oxbow Tree 405.
An aircraft may be instructed to stand by on a frequency when it's intended that the air traffic unit will initiate further communications, and to monitor a frequency on which information is being broadcast.
Golf India Kilo. Stand by for Walden weather.
Golf India Kilo.
Golf India Kilo. Monitor ATIS 123.8.
Monitor 123.8, Golf India Kilo.
Test transmissions should take the following form. The identification of the aeronautical station being called. This will ensure that the station is prepared for your request. The aircraft call sign. The words radio check. The frequency being used. Replies to test transmissions should be as follows. The identification of the station calling, the identification of the station replying, information regarding the readability of the transmission. The readability of transmission should be classified in accordance with the readability scale shown here.
Stephenville, radio check 187.
Station calling Stephenville Tower. You are unreadable.
Stephenville Tower, Golf Alpha Bravo Charlie Delta, radio check 118.7.
Golf Alpha Bravo Charlie Delta Tower. Read you 3. Loud background whistle.
Stephenville Tower, Golf Alpha Bravo Charlie Delta, radio check 118.7.
Golf Alpha Bravo Charlie Delta Tower. Read you 5.
Golf Alpha Bravo Charlie Delta.
When it's necessary for a ground station to make test signals, either for the adjustment of a transmitter before making a call, or for the adjustment of a receiver, such signals should not continue for more than 10 seconds, and will be composed of spoken numbers, 1, 2, 3, etc., followed by the radio call sign of the station transmitting the test signals. The QDM is the magnetic heading, assuming zero wind, that the aircraft must fly in order to reach the station. In this example, the QDM is 060 degrees. The QDR is the magnetic bearing of the aircraft from the station. In this example, the QDR is 250 degrees. The QTE is the true bearing of the aircraft from the station. In this example, the QTE is 245 degrees. QFE is the expression used to refer to the observed pressure, corrected for temperature, at a given datum point at an airfield, usually either at the point of highest elevation of the airfield or at the runway threshold. With QFE set on the altimeter indicates the height of the aircraft above the airfield. More accurately expressed, above the datum point. The IKO unit of pressure for altimeter settings is the hectopascal. Here the QFE is shown as 970 hectopascals. In some parts of the world, especially in the United Kingdom, the millibar is still used as a unit of pressure. The millibar and hectopascal are identical units. If the aircraft is on the ground, parked on the airfield with QFE set on the altimeter will indicate 0. If the observed airfield pressure is converted to pressure at mean sea level, we get a pressure reading which is referred to as QNH. When the aircraft is airborne with QNH set on the altimeter subscale, the altimeter indicates the aircraft's altitude. That is, the vertical separation of the aircraft from mean sea level. Here, the QNH is shown as being 977 hectopascals. If the aircraft is on the ground, parked on the airfield with QNH set on the altimeter will indicate the elevation of that part of the airfield above mean sea level. The categories of messages handled by the Aeronautical Mobile Service are listed here. The list shows the order of priority in the establishment of communications and the transmission of messages. Distress and urgency messages are dealt with in more detail in the lesson on distress and urgency procedures. Click on each message to show an explanation of its meaning. Distress is a condition of being threatened by serious and/or imminent danger and requiring immediate assistance. Urgency is a condition concerning the safety of an aircraft or other vehicle, or of some person on board or within sight, but which does not require immediate assistance. Communications relating to direction finding. These are messages containing requests for bearing information using the appropriate Q code. Flight safety messages. These messages include movement and control messages, messages originated by an aircraft of immediate concern to an aircraft in flight, meteorological advice of immediate concern to an aircraft in flight or about to depart, other messages concerning aircraft in flight or about to depart. Meteorological messages, comprising meteorological information to or from aircraft other than flight safety messages. Flight regularity messages comprise the following: messages regarding the operation or maintenance of facilities essential for the safety or regularity of aircraft operations, messages concerning the servicing of aircraft, instructions to aircraft operating agency representatives concerning changes in the requirements for passengers and crew caused by unavoidable deviations from normal operating schedules. Individual requirements of passengers and crew shall not be admissible in this type of message. Messages concerning non-routine landings to be made by the aircraft. Messages concerning aircraft parts and materials urgently required. Messages concerning changes in aircraft operating schedules. Readback requirements have been introduced in the interests of flight safety. The stringency of the readback requirement is directly related to the possible seriousness of misunderstanding the transmission and receipt of air traffic clearances and instructions. Strict adherence to readback procedures ensures not only that the clearance has been received correctly, but also that the clearance has been transmitted as intended. It also serves as a check that the right aircraft, and only that aircraft, will take action on the clearance.
Golf Alpha Bravo Charlie Delta. Cross Alpha 1 at Wicken. Flight level 70.
Cross Alpha 1 at Wicken, flight level 70, Golf Alpha Bravo Charlie Delta.
Clearances to enter, land on, take off on, cross and backtrack on the runway in use must be read back.
Golf Charlie Delta, line up.
Lining up, Golf Charlie Delta.
The issue of clearances to line up and take off are of course crucial to safe and expeditious operations, and the content of these clearances must at all times be clear and unambiguous to everyone involved, not only the pilot receiving the clearance, but also to all flight crew and controllers operating on the radio frequency. Consequently, extreme care must be taken both when issuing clearances and when reading back clearances. When issuing a clearance to line up, if there is any possibility of confusion during multiple runway operations, air traffic control will include the runway designation along with the line-up clearance. For example, Golf Charlie Delta line-up, runway 20. If there is likely to be any significant delay in issuing a takeoff clearance, the controller will instruct the pilot to wait after lining up. For example, Golf Charlie Delta line up and wait, runway 20. Note that for the takeoff clearance itself, the runway designation is always given with the clearance. For example, Golf Charlie Delta runway 20, cleared for takeoff. The pilot's readback must be accurate and unambiguous.
Golf Charlie Delta, holding point runway 20, ready for departure.
Golf Charlie Delta, line up and wait, runway 20.
Line up and wait, runway 20, Golf Charlie Delta.
Golf Charlie Delta, wind 190 degrees, 8 knots, runway 20, cleared for takeoff.
Cleared for takeoff, runway 20, Golf Charlie Delta.
The runway in use, heading and speed instructions, level instructions, transition level, altimeter settings and SSR codes must always be read back.
Golf Juliet Mike, Squawk 6402.
Squawk 6402, Golf Juliet Mike.
Other clearances and instructions, including conditional clearances, should be read back or acknowledged in a manner that clearly indicates that they have been understood and accepted. An aircraft should terminate the readback by its call sign.
Golf Delta Charlie Bravo Alpha, ready for departure.
Golf Bravo Alpha, hold position.
Holding Golf Bravo Alpha.
If an aircraft readback of a clearance or instruction is incorrect, the controller shall transmit the word negative followed by the correct version.
Golf Charlie Delta, QNH 1003.
QNH 1013, Golf Charlie Delta.
Golf Charlie Delta, negative, QNH 1003.
QNH 1003, Golf Charlie Delta.
If there is a doubt as to whether a pilot can comply with an ATC clearance or instruction, the controller may follow the clearance or instruction with the phrase, "If unable, advise," or subsequently offer an alternative. If at any time a pilot receives a clearance or instruction which cannot be complied with, that pilot should advise the controller using the phrase "unable" and give the reason.
Oxbow 348, Georgetown, cleared to Collington, flight level 290. Cross Wicken, flight level 150 or above. If unable, advise.
Georgetown Oxbow 348, unable cross Wicken, flight level 150, due wait.
Provisions governing clearances are contained in PANS ATM, Procedures for Air Navigation Services, Air Traffic Management, ICAO Doc 4444, formerly known as PANS RAC. A clearance may vary in content from a detailed description of the route and levels to be flown to a brief landing clearance. Controllers should pass a route clearance slowly and clearly, as the pilot may need to write it down. Whenever possible, a route clearance should be passed to an aircraft before startup. On no occasion should controllers pass a route clearance to a pilot engaged in line-up or take-off manoeuvres.
Oxbow 345, cleared to Kennington via Alpha 1, flight level 120. Wicken Tree Delta departure, Squawk 5501.
Cleared to Kennington via Alpha 1 flight level 120, Wicken 3 Delta departure, Squawk 5501. Oxbow Tree 45.
An air traffic route clearance is not an instruction to take off or to enter an active runway. The words takeoff are used only when an aircraft is cleared for takeoff, or when cancelling a takeoff clearance. At other times the words departure or airborne are used.
Golf Charlie Delta. When airborne, turn right. Leave control zone via route Echo.
Right turn via route Echo. Golf Charlie Delta.